I was a district resident for many years, now live in Alexandria, and I wanted to ask either council member how they feel about the parking meter increases, which have skyrocketed. The parking meters
Lewis, if one of these council members promises to lower parking meter fees, would you move back to the district?
I certainly would consider it. The other problem
because that's the
that
only basis on which I'm going to allow your question, since you moved out of the city, but you want a word in the city election.
It has become a factor for people, for example, in Alexandria, Arlington, Maryland suburbs, who would like to come in for an evening, because the meters now extend to 10 p.m., which makes it very difficult to park on the street for evening events. The other question
Not to mention the ones outside this station, which are 7.5 minutes for a quarter. But go ahead, please.
Exactly,
I'm complaining.
The other question I had is on the speed cameras, which are apparently slated for a big increase in the number of speed cameras, and a lot of people, both in and outside the district, have questioned whether that will really impact safety and whether it's done primarily for financial reasons.
First you, Mr. Orange.
Up here.
Thank you for your question, Lewis.
Well,
Mr. Orange.
First off, what I would say to Mr. Lewis, if he called up his elected officials and get them to agree to stand away and stop blocking the commuter's tax, then I can feel a little sympathy for him. The fact of the matter is that we don't have a commuter's tax. We have a structural imbalance. We lose $2 billion on an annual basis. The federal government is exempt from tax. All the nonprofits are exempt from tax. And so we have a shrinking tax base. And
so our parking tickets are a revenue raiser as opposed to a safety issue?
It should be a safety issue. However, for this administration, it has been a revenue.
It's a commuter tax.
It's a commuter tax. I mean, basically, that's what it is. But I think at the end of the day, we don't want to hurt the citizens of the District of Columbia. I mean, a lot of times I go to meetings and I'm worried about the meter outside, because these tickets pile up. A lot of our folks that are unemployed, 30% unemployment in Ward 8, 20% unemployment in Ward 7, they can't afford these tickets. And at one point, they were imposing a $500 ticket if the officer could not see taxation without representation on your license plate. They just recently backed away from that policy.
Mr. Brown, what's your position on this issue? Are you prepared to wipe out all parking fees in the District of Columbia?
Well, first of all, I want to appreciate the caller's call, and I want him to join our fight for full representation and statehood in the District of Columbia, so we can have a voice as it relates to our budget and getting more federal resources sent here to the District of Columbia. As it relates to the parking tickets, that's not what safety is all about. It's the speeding tickets that is what people say are safety. And as my wife always says, that if you don't speed, you don't get a ticket. And so as it relates to the parking tickets, clearly when we're downtown, our small businesses and restaurants and plays, in order to see a play and get something to eat and then still get a $25 ticket, is something that we will address under Kwame Brown as chairman, because what's interesting about this is that restaurants are telling us that people are skipping dessert, or they're not buying a whole bottle of wine because they want to actually have to get out and pay a ticket. We need to look at how either the hours that we extended to 10 p.m. and bring it back, but it will be a way that we're going to have to shift hours to actually plug that gap. And it's a serious problem, and it's something that we're going to have to address.